Inside this room, all of my dreams become realities, and some of my realities become dreams.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You are listening to The Wilder Ride, getting wilder by the minute. Here are your hosts, Alan Sanders and Walt Murray.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Wilder Ride, getting wilder by the minute, a podcast that celebrates the films of Gene Wilder 1 minute at a time. Happy Monday to you. Welcome back for season 2. We are diving into Blazing Saddles 1. We ain't got the time and we ain't got the people minute at a time. I'm your host. I'm Alan Sanders.
I'm your co-host, Walt Murray.
And joining us straight from Philly from the ring after knocking out Apollo for a second time, we've got the guys from the Rocky Minute. We've got Doug Greenberg and Jason Haynes. Welcome, guys.
Can we talk now? We'll get yelled at again. Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
There's Jason.
Thanks for having us back.
Yes.
And at least, and Doug shouldered the load yesterday, so he's got already double the points that Jason has so far going forward. So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had some miscommunication with my wife. It happens a lot. Probably because I shut down completely, don't communicate. I'm definitely the problem. I'm a bad communicator, but
Jason, I'm going to actually come to your side on this one.
Oh,
because we had the rapid, kind of frenetic guys from Doug. Do you mind if we push it back like an hour? I mean, my kid's coach isn't going to show up. I got to coach baseball. Is that okay? We were all like, let me check with Walt. Walt doesn't check his multi-messages, and I got to go over there. And we said, okay, fine. I told my wife 7 o'clock. You probably told your wife 7 o'clock.
I did.
Walt said, we're not starting until 7 o'clock. I got to stay in the office till 11. And then all of a sudden, like, hey, guys, I can do 6. I'm like, oh, shit. I already changed my calendar. I told the wife. Walt's the one who goes, woohoo, I don't have to go home at 11 now.
I will say I agree with you 100%. You are right on the money with all of that. But the only problem is that when I told my wife that it was 7, it had already been established it was back to 6 for a couple hours. Like, if I told her prior to that conversation, I would say, it's Doug's fault. But it was like, we had that conversation, I was on lunch break, so like 12 o'clock we had that conversation, I believe. That's when I read it anyway. I told my wife that we were recording at 7 so she can go to CrossFit at like 4:30. So it's my fault.
It's all good. Doug shouldered the load. So this is where Doug gets to take a rest for a second. He gets to go to his corner, get some water, spit in the bucket, whatever. Because Jason, you are brand new for this season. So we did this with Doug yesterday, so we'll start with you. Before we dive into the minute, we want to get your recollections of what it was like to see Blazing Saddles for the first time, when it was you saw it, and what do you think of it still to this day?
Well, I've only seen it twice in my entire life.
What?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why would he lie about that?
And the last time was about, I want to go 20-something years ago.
Do you just not like it?
No. It's just something I haven't watched in a long time. I want to watch it again after watching these minutes. I was like, I got to watch this movie again. Fortunately, I didn't do it prior to this. But
hey, you and Walt are in the same bucket rowing. That's awesome.
But
soon as the movie comes out on Blu-ray. Well, wait a minute.
Right after it comes out, he'll give it another shot.
When I went to my first year of college, I went to Montclair State University, which is here in New Jersey. And my roommate was basically like my freshman year roommate. You don't get to, at the time, you didn't really get to pick your freshman year roommate. You just showed up and found out who it was when you got there. He was like a shut-in, never leave my room, TV movies guy. Like, he never left the room ever. And he used to watch movies all the time. And one of the movies he watched a lot was Blazing Saddles, and I watched it with him in the room one time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized there was chicks and liquor and fucking parties going on outside.
You mean you'd pick them over Blazing Saddles?
But so I watched it with him. He was a big fan. And then, obviously, it's hysterical. You can't argue that. And then when I was, then I transferred to Rutgers. There's one Saturday afternoon I watched it. And those are the only 2 times I've ever watched it.
All right. Well, you saw it then as somebody older then. You didn't see it as a kid like a lot of people have, what we've been having in our season. So what did you think the first time? I know you said it was funny, but did you walk away with any particular impression of the movie?
See, the first time I watched it, obviously, again, hysterical and a little off color, but that was I watched it in 1990.
Yeah,
when did I go to college? 1995. That was. So things were a lot different in 1995 than they are today. I can't imagine. I always wonder if you watch this movie for the first time today and you were someone from this generation, what you would think of it.
Oh, wow. I don't think we've had anybody. You are the closest to that story. You at least saw it in the 90s, but you've only seen it twice. I think we only had one. Actually, we're going to have Eric Nash join us in a few days or episodes or minutes, or I don't know, it all gets kind of convoluted, who only just saw it for the very first time a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
That'll be interesting.
I'm waiting to see how that episode rolls.
But do you think you could make this movie today?
Everyone keeps telling us no right after they got done saying this is the funniest movie they've ever seen. They love it. They can't get enough of it, which I'm like, well, wait a minute. You love it. You can't get enough of it. But then you go, but it can't be made today.
Well, the world changed a lot.
Yeah, because everybody's like, it's like you're retroactively looking through 2019 lenses at stuff that was funny in the 70s. Like, you can't.
It's funny today. But
I'm going to say, yeah, it's not just funny in the 70s. I crack up every time I watch it.
Yeah, it's funny today, but I don't.
Is it because we're nostalgic and we're transported to being whatever age we saw it the first time we saw it?
Probably.
But I think this is a kind of movie. There's some movies when you watch them, you're automatically transported back to the time, when you were a kid, when you saw it, or not today, obviously. And I just, my wife can probably watch this. She's never seen it, I'm sure.
She wouldn't get it.
She wouldn't get it. She's like, I don't get it. But I would, I don't know. Like All in the Family. Would you be able to make the TV series All in the Family today and play that in the environment we live in now?
All right, just a little peek behind the curtain of a podcast like this to be able to coordinate this many episodes with this much content and this number of guests. Every now and then you have to record a little ahead of current events. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, know what I mean. So I want to read something here because when we recorded this episode, no one knew they were going to do a 90-minute restaging of two Norman Lear classic sitcoms on television. In vulture.com, the day after the episodes aired, live in front of a studio audience, the 90-minute restaging of All in the Family and The Jeffersons received a decent response, according to the critics. This was a quote. It was effective as a televised stage play, as yes, an admittedly nostalgia-riddled exercise in watching contemporary actors try to nail the mannerisms of old sitcom characters, and as a reminder that the same social issues addressed in these early 50-year-old comedies remain relevant today. That last point is something Lear, who hosted the proceedings along with executive producer Jimmy Kimmel, highlighted in his introduction, saying, quote, "There is so much more work we must do in this country we love so much," while also warning the audience that the dialogue in the original scripts had not been watered down and might be hard to stomach. However, it is interesting to note, ABC did bleep the use of the N-word twice in The Jeffersons. Listening to Archie Bunker, played by Woody Harrelson in lieu of the great Carol O'Connor, rail about coloreds was indeed uncomfortable, partly because of the language, but partly because there surely are old white men in America sitting in their worn living room armchairs still talking like this. Black people have arrived, Ike Barinholtz, as Rob Reiner's meathead tells Archie. They're here. Archie's response, I ain't letting them in. This All in the Family episode first aired in 1973, a full year before Mel Brooks's Blazing Saddles would come out. It's both impressive and sad that it still holds up in 2019. The Jeffersons was the slightly more entertaining effort because the dialogue and pacing had a bit more zip, and all of the actors seemed to slide into their roles more comfortably. Will Ferrell and Kerry Washington as Tom and Helen Willis, roles originated by Franklin Cover and Roxy Roker, were really good together, and the sharp-tongued Sykes made Wheezy effectively her own instead of trying to mimic Isabel Sanford. The Jeffersons portion also benefited from being bookended by two powerful moments. Jennifer Hudson in a foxy Cleopatra-esque wig singing Movin' On Up, the show's bumpin' theme song, and the surprise appearance of Marla Gibbs, now 87, reprising her role as Florence, George and Wheezy's wisecracking maid. The fact that she shared a scene with Jackie Harry playing Louise's friend Diane made this something of a 227 reunion too. And this goes on, again, reading from a review from vulture.com. Overall, everyone in the cast seemed to enjoy themselves, and that gave this whole ABC experiment, directed by distinguished sitcom vet James Burrows, the type of verve that can't be replicated in pre-recorded scripted fare. Given how well it went, we wouldn't be surprised if ABC makes the live sitcom its version of live musicals that NBC and Fox regularly stage. Even if it is a blatant nostalgia play, bringing some old TV history into the present seems like a smart move for ABC, and a reason for the rest of us to actually watch live network television for a change. So, though we didn't get a chance to talk about it in the podcast in this episode, it seems like we're getting closer to that point where maybe a movie like this can and or should be made today. If the reviews of All in the Family and The Jeffersons were as positive as this particular review said, maybe there is room for something like this to be revisited with a modern take on what has been a look back at times in the early and mid 70s. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Even if it's like a poking fun at the character, you can't write a biased character nowadays. You just can't. And it's like, it sucks because I loved All in the Family. I thought it was hysterical. And my own taste, not my tastes have changed because I still find improper things funny. But now if I see something or hear something that I know isn't right for 2019, I'll laugh, but I even cringe a little bit now, which is totally unlike me. It's such a, not that, improper,
you know what though?
Overt racism is funny, but
I actually, you know what? I take back everything I said from the minute I got down here, except for about telling my wife the wrong time. That's good. Everything after that is garbage. You know why? Because the Book of Mormon, the Broadway show, is a very successful show that sells out every night of the week, made millions and millions of dollars, has been widely accepted. And has anybody ever seen it? I've seen it. Anybody?
I have not.
Yeah, but it's making fun of religion, not race.
No, you ever see it? It makes fun of race.
Well,
it mostly makes fun of religion, but it does make fun of race to an extent. The African tribes when they go over to Africa. There.
Yeah, but that's such a small part. It's almost like when this movie, someone comes across and goes, "Oh my God, this whole movie is a homophobic movie." I'm like, well, wait a minute. The major part of the movie has nothing to do with it. That was more like the inside jab at Hollywood, almost like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Which, by the way, in 1974, not even gay actors thought there was anything wrong with this movie. That's something that's just become more sensitive over time. But I mean, I think you can make fun of religion, especially you can make fun of anything Protestant or Christian based without a problem.
Yes, true.
And you can make fun of white people all you want.
Oh, that's open season. Open season.
Rabbit season, duck season, white season.
A show. There's actually a show on TV now. I don't know if it's still on TV. But it was like Cedric the Entertainer was in it, where a white guy moves into like an all black neighborhood.
Oh yeah, is this like The Neighborhood or something?
Yes, I think that's actually what it's called. And they make fun of him relentlessly. Yeah. And I'm saying, like, if this was reversed, this would have never made it past
it wouldn't make it. Right.
So yes, Catholics, Protestants, white people, open season.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else doesn't fly nowadays. But
well, and ironically, this has come up a few times across the season. We were not necessarily going to do Blazing Saddles as our second season, but the more we started thinking about how people today refuse to they don't let the message settle first. They hear a word that triggers them and they immediately shut down. And if you do that, you're going to miss the entire point of this movie, which is all about how stupid racism is.
Yeah, and it's such a knee-jerk. I mean, but that's society today, right? They won't even watch the rest of the movie. They'll hear it the first time, and then they'll launch a campaign to have this filth stricken from movie cinema history without even watching the rest of the movie or giving it a chance to understand the message. People are so knee-jerk these days.
Right. It's almost like, and I don't want to paint anybody who's got sort of a sensitivity. That's fine. We're all sensitive to that. I mean, based on what we do and raising our kids. But if you miss the message, then you're missing the point of the movie, and you can't dilute the people who are bad, because then what are you making a movie about? Because if they're not reflecting what you're trying to eliminate, then you'll get lost. It'll be too muddy to try to get a clear picture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your racists have to be racist. Otherwise, what are they?
I think we're getting too serious here.
Aww.
I don't want to. I want to laugh.
All right, hold on. Let me make a note. Delete everything and start now. Okay.
Okay.
So,
welcome back to the Wilder Ride.
welcome back, everybody. It's a Monday. We've got the guys from the Rocky Minute here.
Well, I kind of checked out about 7 minutes ago. I don't even know what y'all been talking about.
Oh, hey, Walt. Welcome.
Hey, Walt. Good to have you.
I've been reading jail reviews on Google. So
Are we expected to go somewhere?
Jay?
I don't know. That's what I just happened to be on.
Oh my God.
So.
Okay.
Let's test this. Jay, what are you looking at right now?
Still reading about chronic fatigue syndrome.
See, like I said, you guys are the slightly older versions of me
But
and
see,
Jay.
if you look at the chronic fatigue syndrome, so if you look up chronic fatigue syndrome, right? They have this little this little picture, right? Every disease has a picture. When you look them up on this, this is what I always look them up on. Every disease has a picture, right? So this picture, they're at a barbecue, right, Doug?
Sure,
I know the listeners can't see this.
All right,
So there's three people that are barbecue. One of them's picking at her salad. She's having a salad. The other one he has a hamburger in front of him and a cup, and the two of them are like laughing, they're having fun. And then next to them is a girl, and she got her head down, and she's sleeping. Now, see, like, this was me in class today. Except no one was laughing. There was not a barbecue, but this is me all day long. Is this woman? Like, I can relate to this. Like, they make these pictures and they make them so relatable. Like when I look at the one for liver cancer and kidney failure, like that picture. When I look at the picture, I was like, that's me. That was me all day today. This is me right here. This woman on the end who can't stay awake at a goddamn barbecue.
Well, take
I'm
solace
sorry.
in the fact that you're dying, and now we can move on.
Okay.
Well, and 2 months ago, Charles Murphy gave the Orange County Men's Correctional Facility a 5-star rating on Google. So,
Excellent. I like that.
Let's talk about that some more.
If you're gonna go to jail, you might as well go to a 5-star jail.
yeah, he said the transportation to and from was excellent.
Oh, God.
Hey, Alan, I just want to point out that you said there's no limit to the discussion, so this is your fault.
I know. I'm owning it. I used to remember what sleep was like. Jesus Christ. All right.
We didn't even get into the minute yet.
No, we have not.
I don't think he's even introduced y'all
No,
yet.
I did. That was like 45 minutes ago.
Well, I'm Jason.
Hey, Jason. How are you?
And I'm Walt.
Hey, Walt.
This is Doug.
Hey, Doug.
This is internet talk with Jason and Walt.
Today,
Just what randomly comes up on our computer.
Yeah. Welcome to Wild Ramblings. Oh, wait, this is Wilder Ride. All right, well, let's go ahead and focus. We will get into this minute here, this minute number 76 of Blazing Saddles. We're going to start off in the midst of Bart had already started to explain that they're going to build an exact replica of Rock Ridge. Walt, this is going to be the first time Van Johnson actually says anything of substance, because he's always been sort of a little, I don't know, either parrots everybody or he's sort of a useless character. But he does come up and say,
Ah, I get it. And tomorrow, when Headley Lamar and his men come riding in to destroy the real Rock Ridge, they'll actually be destroying the fake Rock Ridge. But they'll think that it's the real Rock Ridge, but we'll know that it's the fake Rock Ridge.
Well, you say this was the first time he said something useful. I mean, for a comedy, he's said a couple things that were useful, but and he did let the sheriff know that Mongo was in town.
well, yeah, but he got to the wrong person first, and then he said the idiot's going, the sheriff's going to do it.
Right. So he has served his purpose well. He's kind of a spaz.
A little bit.
You know, he jumps forward and just goes on this tirade about the first thing he's ever figured out on his own. And he popped up from nowhere.
Yeah, because remember, back in the church, everything was like, he's right, and he's right, and he's right. It's like, well, fuck, I just heard him. I don't need you to tell me that he's right. I get it.
In my notes, I called him an over-explaining dipshit.
Hi, I'm Van over-explaining dipshit Johnson.
but I don't think he's over-explaining it. I think he's explaining something that's difficult to explain that people aren't getting, and he's explaining it the best way he knows how to explain it.
So you sound like Van Johnson right now.
Oh my God, I'm the over-explaining dim shit.
Hey, welcome Van Johnson to the Wilder Ride. We've got him sitting in right now.
We're guys that sit around and go through movies 1 minute at a time. I think all of us are in that category.
Who is the guy all the way to the right who looks like the prospector from Toy Story 2? What's his name? Stinky Pete? What was his name?
Now you know why they call me Stinky Pete. He would be.
How did he get out of his
Johnson.
box anyway?
He's Gabby Johnson, the town frontiersman, outdoorsman, and town drunk all rolled into one.
And apparently he's on the town council as well.
Yeah, apparently so. And he seems to be on the sauce right now because he's having a hard time holding steady.
He really is. Yes.
I got to pause a second 12. He's got the half eyes open look.
Mm-hmm.
Second 12?
He looks like, when do we start drinking some more?
You know, it's the same look that you get at 2 a.m. when your buddy has called you and said, hey, can you come give me a ride? Mm-hmm. And you pull up, that's the way he looks.
Yes.
Oh my God. Well, this is actually right now, Walt, this is the drunkest we've seen him because in church, he was upset and angry. And even though he was talking frontier gibberish, he still was cogent as you can be for Gabby Johnson. And then on the rooftop, he was really animated. But right now, he is pissed. I mean, he is totally smashed.
Well, I was trying to figure out if he had been drunk at another time or if it was just his kind of weird personality.
No, I mean, we even saw him in the bar scene during the Lily von Stupp, I'm tired, but he wasn't doing the eyes kind of half open, trying to like keep your balance while people are talking. This is the first time he's been this drunk.
He is blasted at this point.
Yeah.
What is he drinking? What does he have in his hand there?
He's got a flask.
Is it?
He's got some kind of a, and by the way, did they have flasks in 1874 like this?
They're probably made out of leather back then.
I thought it was made out of glass.
Definitely not.
It's got a screw top to it. I mean, I didn't even look that up now that Jason brought it up, but I wonder if they had like the screw top flasks in 1874. I'm sure they had something to put a little alcohol in, but and I'm kind of like with you. I'm almost thinking that it'd be more of a skein or something, like some kind of a, like you would put on horseback to go out in the desert.
Right.
Well, flasks.com tells us that hip flasks began to appear in the form that we recognize today during the 18th century.
Holy shit.
Were initially used by members of the gentry, but they were a less compact version of the flask. And now that they've evolved over the years, we have the flask that we have today. During the 18th century, when women would use pig's bladders filled with gin and hide them under their petticoats to smuggle them.
Okay, but that's not the flask we see here. That's a bladder. That's like a skin.
No, and let's see. We get to the more modern flasks, it looks like in the 1800s.
It does look like glass. What second was that? 14?
Yeah.
I don't think it's, I think it's metal.
Look at that right there. Look at
It's like a brown liquid in it.
Yeah.
And like the shadow from the light is going through the bottle onto him.
That's a bottle. Yep.
Maybe that's what it is. It's a little small, almost like a medicine bottle, but it looks like a flask.
Or like one of the 5th liters that you get, the small ones behind the counter at the liquor store.
Yeah.
You mean like the 200 milliliter Bullet Bourbon Frontier Whiskey, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey that I may or may not have in front of me right now?
Now, you know the even
Is that
smaller
what you have in
ones?
mind?
You know the little smaller ones, like that you get in the little airplane. They're like a serving size, like a shot size. I couldn't figure this out for the longest time. My wife went on a girls' weekend and she kept saying we took all the orphans with us. I'm like, what are you talking about, orphans? And finally, we went to the liquor store one day and she said, "Oh, we call the little ones because they don't look like they've grown up to be the big adults yet. They're like orphans and they're all by themselves, and so we stash them in our purse to go into like theater and stuff with them." I'm like, "Oh my God, that's awesome!" So now, whenever we go see a movie, we always bring our stash of orphans with us.
Nice. That's the way to do it. I mean, if you're going to go watch a movie, you better watch it right.
Oh yeah, I'll go get a cherry. Well, I'll get a Coke, but cherry Coke usually is my like treat, and then I'll get like 4 things of vodka in there. That movie's great.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is.
I'm up in there like, calm down.
You're watching Saw and you're laughing your ass off.
He just cut her head off.
Yeah, everybody around me is like screaming. I'm like, what are you screaming about? I'm looking like Gabby Johnson over here and walking home. Oh.
Who's the guy
right.
next to him with the mustache? Mustache. Which Johnson
Oh,
is he?
the far left?
Yeah.
That's Samuel Johnson. That's I guess he's supposed to be sort of a doctor within the town. He never really displays his doctoring, but the script lists him as Dr. Samuel Johnson.
He, as the this Johnson, Van Johnson's going through his little spiel. What'd you call him? Dr. Johnson, whatever the hell his name
Van
is.
Johnson. Samuel.
See, it's hard to keep track. Samuel Johnson's like hanging on his every word. The deeper he goes into his speech, he's like, he like makes the nod of agreement after everyone.
And Reverend Johnson's shaking his head saying, mm-mm.
I've got a quiz for Jason.
Yes.
Have you ever seen Gene Wilder's version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
No.
What?
No.
You've never seen that?
I've never seen Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. No.
Wow.
Okay, never mind. I can't answer the question now.
Right, because almost universally that answer is yes. I've seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I have got to say, in the history of every conversation I've had with anyone, they've seen that movie.
So I've seen parts of it. So they get the candy bars, and five of them have a golden ticket.
Yeah.
And they get to go to the candy place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you read the Cliff Notes.
No, I remember that. I remember the kid getting all excited. So I remember them going. Everything from that point on is very, very vague.
Fair enough.
I've seen it though, but like bits and pieces. I have never sat down and watched Willy Wonka the Chocolate Factory.
The schnapps kicked in about that time, so everything else is just a blur.
All right, well, Doug, you've seen it.
Yes, I have.
Did you think at any time when you watched this movie that was Grandpa Joe playing Samuel Johnson?
Get the hell out of here, is it?
It's not.
Oh, Jesus. I was going to say, now that you mention it, it looks like him.
Every time I go, oh my God, it's Grandpa Joe. Oh, wait, no, it's not.
Oh,
it just looks so much like
it does
the
look
guy.
like him.
That really does look like him.
Yeah, but see, I was waiting for Jason to go, oh my God, that's him. And I was going to pull his leg for like 5 minutes, but it doesn't make any sense to try that now.
Hey, you could have done it to me. Jesus.
I could have.
You could definitely.
Your reaction was priceless. That's all I needed. So,
Well, I love seeing like a different version of somebody that I've only seen in one movie.
mm-hmm.
You know, because I can't picture Grandpa Joe as anything but Grandpa Joe.
Now, Grandpa Joe is the kid's grandpa?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Grandpa Joe is not the kid's grandpa. Yes, he is.
What kid? In Willy Wonka it is.
Yeah, no. His name's Grandpa Joe, and JS if it's
Doug
the
was
kid's
making an
grandpa.
attempt at sarcasm. I was asking if it was the kid's grandpa or maybe Willy Wonka's grandpa.
All right, Jason, how about this one? At about second 14.
It's Willy Wonka's grandpa. He's just in a closet there at the chocolate factory.
Right. Yeah.
At second 14, we get Howard Johnson. Do you know who this guy is?
He owns the hotels
No,
and the
Exactly.
breakfast place. And he used to play third base for the Mets.
actor-wise.
Let me get a look at him here.
Like, do you know what else he was in?
Give me a hint.
Rawhide?
No. Okay, that sucked. How about
Star Wars?
no? Did you ever used to watch a
Baby Shark?
PI show that was set in
No, that's-
Hawaii?
Hawaii? What?
5-0?
5-0?
No. Did you ever watch
Magnum
a PI show?
Magnum PI.
Oh,
Magnum PI. There's Higgins,
Oh, his little sidekick guy.
the guy who was Robin Masters' kind of like manservant. Always kept track of the place.
I hate to do this to you again, but I've never seen an episode of Magnum PI.
Jason, could you just list the things that you
Hold on,
have
wait.
seen so that we can reference those?
Hold on, before I do that, there we go. There's my Jason Haynes
quiz.
notes.
He was,
Jason
those
Haynes
anymore.
quiz.
He was sitting up all night making a list. He's like, gonna ask Jason about Willy Wonka, gonna ask Jason about Magnum PI.
We just dramatically shortened what I think was going to be a really good episode. So,
Okay, Jason, so The guy there in the bowler hat with the mustache, he was not in any of the Rocky movies. Just so you know.
Just so you know.
Are you
he wasn't
sure?
in any Rocky movie.
What about Legally Blonde?
He wasn't in
No, I don't like Legally Blonde.
What's the
wasn't
one
in
that you
Rambo.
like?
Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, Sweet Home.
It's the best romantic comedy of all time.
Or Mannequin.
Oh, man,
Okay.
Mannequin's a classic.
Oh, you like Sweet Home Alabama with Reese Witherspoon?
Oh, I love that movie. Is this guy
Okay.
in it?
I've got something for you to try to do. It's going to be really hard, but remember the scene at the end of the movie where the older aged attorney comes in, Miss Carmichael, and he
Yes.
almost gets tackled by the G-men as he's trying to interrupt the wedding.
Yes.
If you pause it at just the right moment, you get to see me on the set coming after that guy before it cuts away.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I was in Sweet Home
Oh,
Alabama.
this is pulling my leg because he said he was
Yeah,
going
I
to do it
think
to Willy
he's-
Wonka.
I am
All
not
right.
pulling your
Yeah,
leg
okay.
at all.
I've never seen
Here's
Sweet
what's
Home
funny
Alabama.
about that movie. I was hired to be one of the G-men for the mayor's, like the all the guys in the black suits and everything. We walked around with the little earpiece and everything. We shot an entire ending where it was going to end with this really highfalutin wedding after wedding party. They hired like an actual 18-piece orchestra. They had ice statues. They had it all set up. It was on the Barry Campus College, which is close to where I live, and they shot this entire completely different ending. It never went back to the bar in Alabama, never did any of that. And I was so happy because I actually was in the last scenes of the movie. I was going around checking to make sure all the tables are right. We had a scene where I was looking for any kind of bombs or people smuggling weapons or just whatever. The director said, just do some busy work. Come to find out when I went to go see the movie, I'm like, where's the scenes that I was in? It was a completely different ending. Come to find out, they went to a test audience. And everyone's like, why the fuck didn't you go back to the bar in Alabama? We kept waiting for you to go back to And so they reshot. They completely canned 5 days of shooting that I was in favor of shooting a completely different ending. I still got paid, but I only got one little half-second clip. If you pause at the right time, you can see me as one of the guys at the wedding trying to tackle the guy running in saying, Mrs. Carmichael.
I think Jay's checked out now. He's on YouTube looking up that scene. And
You don't have to do it real time. You can do it later.
No, but I am
He
reading.
won't care later.
I am read. Oh my! Wait a minute. This filmed. Hold on. Go ahead. You guys talk about yourself. It's your show.
I need-
Jay's
we need
out.
your attention.
Wait, you're not. He needs my attention.
Good luck.
You already
Let me
had
ask
it,
you a
and
question.
you lost it.
In the alternate ending,
Oh, jeez.
right?
Mhm.
It's Sweet
Yeah.
Home Alabama. There is a singer, and you just told me there was an orchestra or whatever. There's a singer.
Yeah.
What does
Mhm.
she look like? There's something.
Oh,
there's something that stands out about her.
Well, what's funny about what my part was
here
is
we go.
once they got the entire party started, we didn't need to be in the scene anymore. So we were there before all the guests got there. So we were looking at all underneath the tables. We were looking for like I said, the direction was, you're checking for bombs or weapons or anything that might be out of place. You're just doing a safety check of the area.
So they ain't got the time and they ain't got the people.
So wait, is it,
Hey, we're not doing the Sweet Home Alabama minute. So Higgins here, or Howard Johnson, says,
How are we going to do it? We ain't got the time and we ain't got the people.
and then Bart says,
Wrong. There's why.
and we got a shot of all the railroad gang showing up exactly where Bart and the Waco Kid had come from just a minute ago, down that little gully here into where they're all meeting. Got the torches out, and they all kind of spaced themselves out rather nicely, almost like they were told to pose for the shot.
I like when there's a line that comes from off screen that goes, "Who the hell are they?"
Who the hell are they?
I love lines that come from off screen. I am a big fan of that because it's usually like what you see is not necessarily in this, but like certain other lines in other movies. If it's set off screen, you're focusing on the person. You usually see their reaction. They're like real time reaction to the line. And it's usually funny. I can't think of one offhand, but I don't know. I just ruined this because I thought I had one, but I didn't.
It's all good. Remember yesterday, Jason wasn't here, but Doug, you were, and I said that we were going to take a look at some of Bart's lines that got cut.
Mm-hmm.
And what we talked about at the very beginning when Van Johnson said, I get it now. When they ride into town, they think they'll be in the real Rock Ridge, but it'll be the fake Rock Ridge, but we'll know. that was actually a on-the-set rewrite of what was going to be Bart's couple of final lines that we had at the end of Last Minute. They gave that to Van Johnson. Initially, Van Johnson was the one that was supposed to say, but Sheriff, how are we going to do it? We ain't got the time and we ain't got the people. Rather than giving it to him, Mel Brooks decided, let Van Johnson talk about the real Rockridge versus the fake Rockridge, give Howard Johnson the better line, actually, which is the question, how are we going to do it? We don't have the time, we don't have the people. And then Bart then continues. So sort of a on-the-set change of lines and giving Howard Johnson a different line instead of giving Van Johnson's line to Howard.
It's another one of those things I think I asked yesterday. What makes them make that decision?
I honestly think the way it's written, based on how Van Johnson's been played thus far, it was almost, it didn't feel in character for Van Johnson to say, but how are we going to do it? We ain't got the time, we ain't got the people. I think he does a much better job of delivering sort of that spastic, oh, I get it. Like, okay, dipshit. What'd you call him? The useless.
The over-explaining.
Yeah. Over-explaining dipshit.
Yeah.
Where Howard Johnson, when he does it, and it comes across as a really legitimate question. Okay, that's a great idea, Sheriff, but we ain't got the time and we ain't got the people. How are we going to do it? You know, I love it. And the timing of this, we talked about this yesterday, Doug. As far as editing, it never stops. Just as he asked the question, here they come. Railroad workers. We don't have to wait for them. There's not extra exposition. Even in the script, no extra stuff. It goes right to the guy showing up. And we do have a line, and I think it's Howard Johnson, who, at least in the script, he's the one who's supposed to say, who the hell are they? And he says,
Railroad workers. They've agreed to help us make our dream come true. And all they ask in return is a little plot of land they can call their own, the homestead. Now, what do you say?
Yeah, it's like the we ain't got the time, we ain't got the people was kind of the cue, right, for them to enter.
Right.
So yeah, so there's not a whole lot of wasted time in between that and them entering.
Now, Jason, are you with us right now?
Yep.
Because I've struck out twice now. So when we come to color theory,
Oh, Jesus.
And batter out.
I wanted to get the perfect strike. No, seriously. At around second 36, while Bart is explaining all they want is a piece of land on their own, and Walt, I want you to kind of weigh in too.
Okay.
No, seriously, I need the two of you who are not focusing to focus.
I'm focused. I'm watching the
If you
clip.
remember,
I'm talking to you.
Walt, at the very beginning of the movie, it was the white guys on one side, but it was all of Lyle's folks with the train tracks sort of dividing them and all the railroad workers on the other side. We've got a mirror shot here, once again establishing that right now you've got two sides of this and neither one's really mixing with the other. The railroad workers on the one side and all of the townspeople on the other.
Believe it or not, I'd actually noticed this already. And I guess there are two things here. Number one, they had to make room for the railroad workers to get into the scene. So everybody kind of moved. But also you can see that kind of oil and water attitude that the town folks have about all the black people, the Chinese people actually coming in and being a part of their town.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you freeze it right around 36 and 37, there's a little Irishman right there between Charlie and the Chinese guy with his little hat.
I was going to ask you that, if that was the Irishman that gets no love.
Yeah, this is the guy Olson Johnson doesn't want living next door to him. He looks like a leprechaun.
We're the worst.
We don't want the Irish.
Second 33, there's a woman in a blue bonnet and blue dress. And she kind of hangs back for a second, and this guy like corrals her in and like pulls her. Like you're supposed to be on this side. like she wanted to maybe get a taste of what the other side was like. Like no,
no, darling, you're not going over here.
Well, and then did you notice that the guy who corralled her looked down to see his mark where he's supposed to stand?
Oh man,
yes.
Well, we're supposed to be right here.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Mel Brooks drew us a line, and we got to be on this side of the line.
Man, he shifts on everything to make sure he's standing right on that mark.
And there's another guy who crosses in front of them as he's pulling her aside. There's a guy with a black hat, gray jacket. He looks like he's looking for where his place he's supposed to stand is, because he comes from the other side. He walks and he goes right to a specific spot behind this dirty looking guy.
He moves the guy out.
Right,
of the
he
way.
moves him out of the way. Like that was like his place that he was supposed to be in.
Filmmaking at its best.
So I'm guessing the
great.
extras didn't have a whole lot of training.
Well, no, I think, either that or Mel Brooks is okay with them just looking around at the ground and trying to get in position because what I read about a lot of these extras, at one point he uses more than 40 stunt people, obviously as we get more toward the end, wink, wink, nudge, nudge of what's coming up. Mm-hmm. He just made the stunt people actually be background extra. So that way, when they were ready to start doing any of the choreography and fight scenes, we already had them in our minds as established townsfolk.
Interesting.
I like the double, huh?
Yeah.
I could almost, this is like the look my dog gives me when I kind of give him a weird look and he kind of cocks his head and goes, oh.
That's some top flight color commentary right there. You don't say.
Tell me more. Gosh, you're smart.
You said it so eloquently that we couldn't even expand upon it. So we let it die.
Well, I wanted to point out though that the scene before we get to the rest of the conversation, because I thought I hadn't really paid attention as a film study until we did this, that we get a very visual description of these two sides not wanting to blend together. And that's exactly where this movie started, with two sides, and the symbolism in the first scene even more stark because there was literally a track dividing them, both sides thinking, well, you can't go over there. That's the other side of the tracks. So I love the fact that we sort of have a call back to that before the scene continues to play out where it's going to eventually lead. We still see that very clear separation between these two groups.
Huh. When you say something like that and you go on a little spiel and then you stop and then I go, huh, that means one of three things. It means A, you made a great point and you said it so well that there's no need to explain it anymore, that it was perfectly said and it needs to just end there. It was B, you brought something to my attention I didn't notice before and I don't have enough knowledge or to talk about it, so I just give you a huh. Or C, I wasn't listening to any of that. Huh. And I'm just please don't, in my head I'm like, oh, please don't ask me to expand on that. No,
so we'll play a question game with you, Alan. was that one A, B, or C?
I was gonna say I've got a 1 in 3 chance of being wrong or really upset.
I thought you were gonna say, hey, can we play a game with you, Alan? Can you reread that, please?
I'm hoping it's A, that you're like, wow, that's really profound.
I will tell you that the last two huhs that I've given you were that it was very profound, that it was
Aww.
A. I'll let you know when I give you a C.
I think I've hit it. I don't know if there's anything left. I've gotten the stamp of a huh from Jason.
He doesn't even give me that, ever.
I noticed. There's a lot of other things he gives you, but it ain't that.
Yeah, usually a groan or a fake snore when I start to read from the book.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, the book again.
So right as Bart, of course, and the scene we're talking about, if we go back and play with the audio, right as they're all together and they've all hit their marks, it cuts to Bart. It's like,
now what do you say?
And we come back to the 4 councilmen, I guess 4 of the 8 councilmen that are, you got Gabby, you've got the Reverend, you've got Van Johnson and Samuel Johnson. He says, what do you say? They all look like they've lost something. Like Gabby Johnson's like, did I drop my flask back here? Like their town's going to be eradicated. All they have to do is agree to let these people move in with them. What do you say? They're like, shit. I don't know. I don't think so.
They, I like, though, the little comedy bit about them. They agree to allow the more stereotypical ethnic groups to stay, but then they want to cast out the Irishman. You know, the fellow European.
Yeah. And just for Jason's sake, because I don't want you feeling like this is going to be actually in there, because I always replace it with the actual line from the movie. But we've got Olsen Johnson that finally decides to say,
all right, we'll give some land to the and the Czechs, but we don't want the Irish.
And I do think it's funny what you're saying, Doug, is like, what? You picked the one group, the one ethnicity that looks the closest to you.
Right.
And you're like, I mean, we don't want none of their kind. We're willing to compromise, but only to a certain point.
I didn't look up the background of the name, but isn't Johnson and it doesn't have Irish roots? Or am I way off?
I think you're thinking of O. Johnson. That's different.
O. Johnson.
Oh, that must be it.
Johnson is a surname of English and Scottish origin.
Huh.
Well, Scottish, we'll go with that. I do think the actor here has Irish background as well, which I think was always funny with the guy that has very strong features like that to be delivering the line like, "No one, none of them kind around here."
What is that guy in? What else is that guy in? He's very familiar.
He's been in a ton of things, but maybe with you guys, you might recognize him from The Big Lebowski. He plays the elder Mr. Lebowski in the wheelchair.
That must be it. Yeah.
He's been in a ton of things. You start off, well, I know we already went through this when we first were introduced to him, but I mean, you start off with television shows, playing everything from cowboys to lawyers to statesmen. I mean, he's always sort of an imposing kind of a character.
Yeah, his name's David Huddleston, and he has 146 credits. He was even in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He was in Living Single, Walker, Texas Ranger, Star Trek Next Generation, The Wonder Years. He was on a bunch of episodes of that. Columbo, Murder, She Wrote. I'm sure he got murdered in that because everybody does.
Oh, yeah, we've seen him in a bunch of stuff. You guys, you've seen him in this and Big Lebowski.
I was going through all these things. I've never seen any of these movies he's been in, but I got to one, Santa Claus, the movie, and I was like, oh no, I saw The Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
Wrong one.
Yeah, that might be just a tad different.
Well, Blazing Saddles, I've seen that.
Yeah, he was in Blazing Saddles. Yes, absolutely.
You might recognize him from that.
I've never seen a single
movie. He played
movie
Olson Johnson.
It must be this then. This and
TV
The
shows.
Big
I'm
Lebowski.
sure I saw some of these. I never saw The Big Lebowski.
Okay, ironically, he was in a short film called The Benevolent Byzantine Order of the Nobles of the Enigmatic Oracle.
That's it.
Yes.
That's
be
the
it.
one.
Yes.
So I'm sure that was what you saw.
See, this is a guy right here that when you see him, he looks so familiar. Like, man, I've seen this guy a million times in so many things, and I'm going through and I've never seen any of these things.
It probably is the.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
The West Wing. I've
know
seen
what? And-
every episode of The West Wing. I don't remember.
Chances are the reason he's got that many credits is because he just looks familiar. He's one of those guys that just fills the space. He's imposing. He's tall. He can deliver his line. Actually, and Walt, I told you this, one of the few guys that nails every single line exactly as it's written in the script. He very rarely deviates from anything written for him. He's just that skilled.
Yep. Well,
So-
going all the way back, I mean, he was just a very familiar face, I think, because he was in everything.
Oh, he died.
So
Yeah, he is no longer with us.
Oh, you're kidding.
Pour some out.
And, well, after he says his demand, we get all the railroad workers shaking their head, shaking their hands. Charlie's like, no deal, no deal. And it cuts back to the shot, kind of camera tilted up, looking from a low angle up, which is a hero shot for you film aficionados out there. You've got the Waco Kid, you've got Sheriff Bart, and he goes,
No deal.
which is exactly where the minute ends, which is great because it doesn't clip his line, but that is his full response. No deal. So if they want to execute this plan of building an exact replica of Rockridge, they better figure something out because right now they're at an impasse. And that's where the minute ends.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, because we've got you guys for a couple more days, Jason, you were the latest addition to join in this Monday. What else do you have in your notes for this minute that we might have overlooked?
My notes. Yeah.
That's cute.
That's adorable. You think I have notes? Oh.
He actually said it out loud. He couldn't even lie. You actually think I have notes.
I stopped notes around. It was Rocky 1. He went to the pet shop, and that was it.
That was about it, right?
Week 1 of Rocky
here's
1.
the thing, though, about what I've decided to do with Rocky Minute is I used to take some nice notes. I used to lay out everything. Doug still does. Amateurs. But I used to like lay everything out, what I was going to say. And then I wanted it to be a little more natural. I didn't want to feel like I was preparing it and then reading it off. So I wanted it to be more natural. So I watched a minute, I do the research, and then whatever I remember, whatever I don't. But I usually, as we're going through the minute though, and I'm watching things, and I pick up, I remember I looked that up earlier and said this or whatever. So I'm trying to be more natural.
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
Wait a minute.
Now, there's a way to do that by writing, let's say, I don't know, bullet points.
Yeah, no, but
I'm still talking naturally. I didn't expect you to write your dialogue out.
Yeah, but then what happens is this. Then what happens is when I'm looking at I did the bullet points, but when I'm looking at the bullet points, I'm looking at my bullet points to make sure that I get on my bullet points. And then like while guests or Doug are talking, I'm not listening because I'm just focused on my bullet point. I'm like, all right, how am I going to get this next bullet point out?
So since you stopped doing that, you do listen?
No, but since I'll let you know, since I've gotten rid of notes and bullet points, it's freed up a lot of time in my life for other shit.
Okay, fair enough.
Facebook, Instagram, diseases, recipes,
hypochondria.
So, facts about wherever the guests are from, like Australia. We had Australia Pete on. Joe,
Greg.
Hello.
That's not Australian, by the way.
How do you do, Australia? Bobby.
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate.
So then,
I'll take a croissant.
No.
Oh my God!
I'll take a croissant.
Suddenly we're in the better off dead minute. Like, French bread and French dressing. Like, shut the fuck up.
Fries.
French fries. All right, Doug, do you got it? Do you have? Dear God, do you have anything?
No, I'm all done. Mercifully,
you're done. Walt, what about you?
From my extensive notes. We covered the but not the Irish thing, right?
Yes,
right,
we did cover
yes, Jason.
In which, by the way, I'm mostly Irish, and I'm really offended. So I really hope they straighten this out in the next minute.
Well, you picked the wrong podcast to be on then. That's going to do it for me as well. We've still got more of this scene playing out because these guys have not yet executed their plan. And oh, by the way, we already talked about it last week. Hedley Lamar has already recruited much of his army, and they are getting ready to raid Rock Ridge soon, so these guys better get their act together. Who wants to take it, Jason or Doug? How do people get back in touch with you guys or listen to your guys' podcast on the Rocky Minute?
Well, what you can do is you could, if you have the Facebook, we are on there under our listeners group, which is called Mighty Mix. You go on there. It's not Strong Irishman. It's Mickey from Rocky's gym, Mighty Mix. So you go on there and you can just...
It's not a dope rap album either. It's not a Mighty Mix.
A Mighty Mix.
It's not Strong Irishman.
So you can...
It really isn't an epithet. We swear.
So...
Mighty Mix.
Anyway, you can go on to Mighty Mix on Facebook. It's our listeners group. You can ask to join, and you can hop on there and talk to us all you want. Well, mostly talk to Doug. I chime in now and then. We're also on Twitter, Instagram at Rocky Minute. You can email us at rockyminute@gmail. Not at rockyminute@gmail, just rockyminute@gmail. And all of our episodes of our podcast, The Rocky Minute, are available on Dueling Genre, duelinggenre.com.
Mm-hmm.
So you get over there and you could hang out, talk to us, listen to our stuff.
Oh my God.
Walt, we're at the very beginning of yet another full week of episodes. A lot of work goes into one of these podcasts. Maybe there's some folks out there that are finding themselves so thoroughly entertained, today withstanding. Where can they maybe throw a little support toward our show?
Well, if you're still here with us and you have a couple of bucks you want to throw our way, we'd appreciate it. We do have some production cost and things like that. You can go to patreon.com/thewilderride, and you'll find some different ways you can help us out. But even if you can just throw us $1 or $2 a month, that would be really appreciated. And you can also check out some of our levels of donations there and get some of our bonus material. We went through the movie Poltergeist. I think we did 5 episodes on that. And then 6 episodes on Christmas Vacation, which is Alan's favorite movie.
Ooh.
And
false.
You can check that out there.
What I love Christmas Vacation.
Oh,
I just watched it the other day.
One of my favorites.
So much is explained, and Doug's comment is exactly dead on. You're just seeing your future selves 10 years from now.
I love Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, 10 years from now, y'all are going to do Christmas Vacation as a Patreon special.
You can just go steal our shit and say it saved you the effort.
Hey, I paid attention for almost half of it.
You did. All right, come back tomorrow, folks. We got these guys here again for a Tuesday where we are going to dive into minute number 77. We're going to actually get to one of the favorite quoted lines that I have to continuously bleep throughout this entire season 2. Oh, prairie shit. And we're going to end with everyone standing around looking really proud at their accomplishment. And to find out what happens in between, you got to come back tomorrow for this, The Wilder Ride.
Man, what a bunch of over-explaining dipshits we are.
Not a bunch
We
of
really need to set a timer.
strong Irishmen.
That was good.
It's funny. How many times have we said Mighty Mix on our own show? And I never thought about that until right now.
Till just now.
That's exclusive content.
I was this year's old when I realized what we had done.
I don't wear a watch to bed.
Mm-hmm.
I have a watch that tells time.
Just do me a favor and don't look that up on WebMDJ.
Why? Did you really look it up? What is it? What do I have? Did you look it up, Brandon?
No, I didn't.
Did you look it up?
No, I didn't.
I'll look
But
it
I'm just
But there's 5 conditions associated with not being able to stay awake all day. I already have. I already have one of them. That might
thyroid.
Hypothyroidism. I already have. Maybe my medicine needs to be adjusted.
Okay.
It's either that, diabetes, insomnia, anemia, or chronic fatigue syndrome. Who doesn't have that?
Chronic fatigue.
Ooh, anxiety. I have that too, and muscle pain.
You don't have anxiety.
I have. Oh, I have anxiety. I have chronic fatigue syndrome. All right.
So the Wilder Ride.
All right.
What are you looking at? My mic is on.
All right.
But you check if my mic is on like 10 minutes into the recording. That's something you check like early on.
Sorry. Didn't mean to do that.
We're actually asking you questions about things that you said, so I'm assuming it's on.
Oh wait, it does look like glass. What's that?
Are they still on? Oh, we're unplugged.
No, you're still on.
No.
Yeah, hold on.
No, hold on a second.
Unplug the headphones.
We unplugged the I unplugged the headphones.
So Walt's one of these people?
No, he set up the table.
Not Walt. Walt is in Star Trek 2 Into Darkness.
He does Welcome to the Dead.
Well, all right, but I mean, can we do this later?
Wow.
In between recordings.
There was an alternate ending to Sweet Home Alabama. Holy shit.
Read all about it later. You'll love. You know what?
She gets stung to death by bees. It's crazy.
No, struck by lightning.
Magnum PI, which you've never seen.
Oh yeah, we've seen him in a bunch of stuff. You guys, you've seen him in this and Big Lebowski.
Smokey and the Bandit 2.
Never seen that one.
He played Walrus Wallman
I've never seen
in
any of
something
these movies.
called Gorp. Which
All right, I'm going to just delete all of that wall. Never mind. We're not going to keep these.
Oh, that was my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too, and not a whole lot of it looks familiar to me. But this guy,
The guy looks really familiar, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Capricorn 1.
What's his name again?
David Huddleston.
David
Yeah, get rid of
Huddleston.
all this.
Huttle.
Charlie's Angels, Sherlock Holmes in New York, Sanford and Son, the original Hawaii Five-0 that didn't suck.
Oh, yeah. I think. Remember we said that Doug said earlier. I don't know if he said it on the podcast, but he texted us earlier. He goes, "Looking at you and Walt, it's like looking at future selves of me and Jason."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Oh, I fucking snorted.
Anyway,